Alright, just a quick demonstration of ducking that I'm going to throw together for Janrik, given he was saying he was having a few issues finding how to dock, at least on the Xbox version. I mean, there's no difference at all whatsoever between Xbox, PC, etc. He was also saying how beautiful this game is on the Xbox, the new Xbox, the One X, and I can believe him. It's beautiful enough on the PC. But yeah, just going to do a quick trip from where I am to a system nearby, if I can click on it, because of the way I've got my filters set up. There we go. Right, I'm going to be docking at this station here, at the Coriolis station. We've got a choice here between a Coriolis and an Orbis, but we'll take the Coriolis. Because it's a little bit trickier to find the docking port on those. Okay, I'm going to be using one of the bigger ships. It's a Fed Corvette.
Detachment complete. You are go for departure.
Yeah, in terms of flying this, the Xbox now has it's a fairly basic HOTAS, hands-on throttle and stick, available for it. It's nothing nearly as sophisticated as the Warthog that I'm using on PC, but I mean, a Warthog for Elite is huge amounts of overkill. But just that little T-Flight HOTAS that Thrustmaster make, it's a very, very good stick actually for the price that you're paying for it. And it will make flying Elite, any sort of flight game, although I don't think there are very many on the Xbox, but it makes it a lot more intuitive. I mean, you got the controls literally at your fingers, depending on how you've got it set up. Cannot recommend a decent HOTAS enough for games like Elite, DCS World, any sort of flight sim or particular space sim, and the T-Flight HOTAS is particularly well suited to games like Elite Dangerous, where it doesn't have all the sensors and systems and radars and the TAS and the TAD and that kind of thing that your more sophisticated military flight sims do in DCS World, for example. I will never get over how beautiful this game is. I mean, I've got Star Citizen, or at least I backed it. I threw about $150 odd in it back before the exchange rate was the pants that it is now. And that's a very pretty game, and they're doing very interesting and exciting looking things with it. But I've got to be on. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about the look of the game. I mean, Elite is still obviously a game, but the art style and that kind of thing it just feels a little bit more real than Star Citizen does. Star Citizen, whenever I look at it, it's a bit too shiny and plastic. And it takes a little bit of my enjoyment out of it. Really am looking forward to that game coming out and playing it, though. I mean, if there's one thing that Chris Roberts does extremely well, it's narrative-driven space shooters. So, if only the Squadron 42 part of that game, I'm looking forward to that very much. And the Persistent Universe is incredibly ambitious, and I'm really hopeful that do get around to releasing it sometime in the not too distant future, and that it's, if it's only half of what they've promised and what they want to do, it'll be good. If you look at the little hologram of the station to the left of the radar, you can actually see the docking port. That the hologram shows the orientation of the station relative to you, if you have it selected, and that'll give you an indication and an idea of how you need to you're going to need to maneuver the ship after you drop out of Super Cruise. But yeah, simple rule of thumb, the station will be pointing towards the body it's orbiting. Not necessarily directly at it, as used to be the case in the original Elite, but it'll be pointing towards, in the general direction of the body it's orbiting, be it a moon or a planet or whatever. The other thing is, a station always rotates counterclockwise. So if you're approaching a station and you can't see the docking port and you're not too sure, look at how it's rotating. And that'll give you an indication of which way the docking port is facing. Right, always remember to request docking when you get within range.
Request approved. Cleared to land on pad 3-2.
Okay, if you look at the hologram again, you'll see there's a little arrow. That arrow also points in the direction of the where the docking port is facing. Right, line up nice and steady. Generally speaking, you want to keep to the left, particularly if you're playing in open or whatever, to allow for other traffic. Alright, as you go through the docking port, you see how the little compass rose has changed to indicate the direction of the pad that you're flying towards, or that you've been allocated to. In this case, it's 32, which is there to my right, looking at it there, and you look at the compass rose, it's pointing in that direction as well. Now, smaller ships, you just fly straight at it. The bigger ships, particularly like the
Caution. Stay clear of landing pads.
that asshole flew into me. But the bigger ships, particularly the Imperial Cutter, I think it is. I always get mixed up, Cutter or Clipper. Trick is to actually line up on the spire at the back of the station, and then put the your landing pad on either your 3 o'clock line or your 9 o'clock line. So you're looking straight down at it. And then line yourself up so that you're over the center of the pad, and then rotate your ship so it's below you. And then line yourself up using these struts. You see that strut there? If you look at the center of the screen where the little pointer is, and that strut. And descend after dropping your gear.
300 meters from touchdown.
Okay, the Corvette's a little bit shorter than the Cutter. Here we go. And there you have it, docked.
Contact. Deploying ground services.
It's actually, it's very, very simple once you get the trick of it, but it can be a little bit tricky to get that trick. But yeah, fantastic game. Spent many, many hours playing it. Grew up with the original that was released back in 1984, and really looking forward to seeing how, like same as Star Citizen, how they're going to develop this in the future. There's still quite a lot that they said they wanted to do in the Kickstarter that they've not done yet. that, yeah, it's going to be very, very good to have it in the game. But yeah, anyway, there you go. Quick and dirty docking sort of demonstration. Hope it helps.